Okay, so we look at Mirror's Edge Catalyst, and specifically my thoughts on the game. Now, as I covered in my technical breakdown of the game, links to this on screen now or in the description, or just head over to my channel for the full video, EA has given us a quality ultra-wide title, and shown that the ability to support 21:9 users properly is absolutely within developers' powers, and when they do it, the end product is just that much better. So if you played the beta, you will have seen and felt the fantastic developments made since the original 2009 game, and I can without a doubt say that everything in this game is better than the first. Nothing feels rushed or cut down or lazy. It simply manages to achieve exactly what I'm looking for in a Mirror's Edge game, even though this is only the second, but it's what I wanted from the first, and what was kind of missing from the first has been added to this. So it has an interesting story, but it's developed with the knowledge that I probably don't care about it and will probably forget about it in the end. But it simply gives you an excuse, a justification for your actions. Instead of saying run here or there, it gives you a basic sense of purpose. That really does sound like it wouldn't matter, but it does. And this is clearly visible when you compare the story element versus the side mission filler stuff. Well, they aren't really side missions, they're just quite cheap stuff where you're tasked from running from one person with a package to another in a time frame. And essentially that is what the rest of the game is. The only reason to do these moments is to beat the clock, which is okay the first few times, but it does get stale. And that's why I'm so glad that the fantastic custom race creator is a part of this. The story is by far and away the reason to pick up this game, and should be the first thing I would advise playing, as it features massively cool set pieces. However, whilst doing it, you will run across other users' custom races, and it can be a really good fun thing to try them out. The reason being that whilst the premise is still the same as the pre-baked run from point to point in a certain amount of time, the thrill of racing another human and watching the red silhouette racing along is a far greater experience. You'll end up refusing to give up until you beat them, or in most cases just give up after half an hour of perfecting the run but still unable to beat them. And it does lead to a significant amount of extra game time, and with the complete freedom of the world paired with the imagination of players, it hasn't turned into a gimmick but a genuinely fun secondary part to the game. Now, ability-wise, of course the most important part to Mirror's Edge is how you traverse the world, and it's a solid step up from the previous title. There are a range of abilities, new and old, and whilst I had heard some people not so much complain, but make a point of not being too happy about the fact you have to unlock some basic things like rolling and 180-degree spinning, I personally found it no problem. I quickly gained these abilities and didn't feel like I was ever hindered in progression due to lacking some of them. Another point people have complained about is combat, remarking that it's clunky or messy and slows things down. I, however, cannot agree. It's just not a button mashing experience, but instead you genuinely need to learn how to fight certain enemies. Many are easy enough, but some, like the electric shock firing guys, can be difficult to handle, and it has a robust enough set of combat skills for the amount of fighting that you're really doing. I can only see it as a positive part of the game. It's definitely not the center bit, it's just a small part of it that changes things up. It throws you off when you're just getting too relaxed with running untouched, and if used with skill, you can execute stuff with speed and not be slowed down by the experience. Simply put, everyone I've seen complain about the combat has been useless at it, flailing in the air, hitting nothing. Not that I'm very good at it at all, but it's clear that if you spend time on it, you can get good quickly, and then it fits really well with the rest of the game. Now, the last ability I really want to talk about is the Grapple, which really does allow the world exploration to take to literally new heights. As before, everything had to be linked in some kind of jumpable distance, but now you can be taken over much larger spaces, and so it gives you a much grander sense of scale, though maybe having some points to grapple onto in and around the world might be nice, as they are rather scarce in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, it's a nice development thing, and I wasn't expecting it when the game first released, so it was a nice thing to discover while playing. Graphically, it has had a beautiful overhaul. The stark white base colour in combination with the bright reds, oranges, yellows are just gorgeous, and the city is so much more complete, alive, and just worth running through. And it is a significantly large world to keep you discovering new areas, though you will undeniably find yourself tracking over the same ground at times, but I never found it an annoyance. I actually kinda liked perfecting traversing those areas each time anyway. Now, face animations are beautifully smooth, especially when hitting higher than 60 FPS. Rolling around feels so satisfying when the frame rate is very high, and thankfully the FPS is very stable, so you won't find it stuttering in important moments like when you're rolling, where the FPS is just so necessary. Overall, this is hands down an easy recommendation from me. The gameplay is really engaging, and satisfaction levels from pulling off perfect runs is so high. I also gave it a score of 4 out of 5 in terms of 21.9 support, so it's a fantastic score as very few games get that high, so you can't go wrong with this, and it always makes me happy having a good game to cover. I have no doubt in a few years we'll see a new Mirror's Edge, as it is so very different to just about everything we're used to. So I hope that gives you a better idea of what this game has to offer at 21.9. Give this video a like if you found it helpful, and subscribe for future info. For any other games at 21.9, head over to my channel. Hopefully I've covered it. If I haven't, then leave a comment down below and I'll try and cover it. And if you'd like to donate to the channel, the links to my Patreon page are in the description. See you later.
We have some catching up to do, Faith. Perhaps we can have dinner when we've settled our transaction. Yes, dinner it is. A suitable task, don't you think? Yeah, very subtle. How about the item we have for you? It should be more than enough. I will investigate the potential value of the proposition. But first things first. Just remember, Faith, Dogan looks to himself first. Ah, that hurts, Noah. And it's also not true. Good, you got the employees out, Faith. She obviously cares for others, Noah. A charming character flaw we both share. Occasionally. Faith, enjoy the view, but don't stick around. I expect KrugerSec are sending people to investigate this little